The following presentation was recorded live for CALLERLAB's 20th Annual Convention. This is tape number 22, the Partners Session 3.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and start this session. The title of this session is The Importance and Role of the Partner in the Success of the Caller's Career. On our panel today, which I don't see her, is Pam Dougherty. Pam is from Mesa, Arizona. She has been square dancing for 11 years and is involved with clogging, round dancing, country western, and line dancing. She is married to a full-time professional caller, and together they run a busy program in Mesa and Tucson involving all the dance forms during winter months and touring nationally during the summer. To my right is... To my right is Margaret Sparks. She is married to J.R. Sparks. She is 7th grade math teacher during the week and travels with her husband to calling engagements on the weekends, school holidays, and summer vacation. They work together on his calling schedule so that they can travel together to further his calling career and at the same time maintain a solid marriage and relatively normal home life during the work week. They have 3 children who are no longer dependent on their time, thus freeing them to schedule dances as they do. Meeting new friends in different parts of the country is a special part of their life. They travel about 50,000 miles per year and cover 35 states. J.R. records for Marlette Records. In their spare time, Margaret and J.R. like to play golf, shop, and attend Square Dance Weekend as dancers. To my far left, right after Pam, is Carla Driver. She is partner of Wade. They have been together for almost 9 years, being married for the last 4. Between the two of us, we have 5 children, ranging in age from 27 to 15. We currently reside in Mesa, Arizona, and work from October through April with winter visitors, running 15 sessions per week. Wade travels throughout the summer, calling in the United States and abroad. Carla works full-time as an executive administrative secretary. Together, she and Wade do his bookings, travel arrangement, and maintain their record company, Rhythm Records. She was fortunate enough to be a square dancer prior to being a caller's wife. She has now danced for 19 years, and for 7 of those years, she was a member of the Squarenator exhibition group from Northern California, founded by the late Bill Kastner. She was active within their weekly club in San Francisco Bay Area, holding numerous offices from club president to club representative for the Northern California Square Dance Association. To my immediate left is Gail Seastrom. Gail has been married 22 years to Mike, her husband, who is current chairman of the board. He is not a full-time caller. They have 2 children, ages 10 and 15 years. She works 24 hours a day as wife, mom, secretary, bookkeeper, dental assistant, taxi driver, art teacher, laundress, den mother, gardener, cook, house painter, pool maintenance person, shoulder to cry on, and a support system manager for the Seastrom house. She is past chairman of the Partners Committee and currently works as a private consultant for dental practices. I introduced myself yesterday, so I am Karen Rippeto. Still, even today. I have been in square dancing 24 years, been married to my partner for 34 years, and a caller's partner for 21 years. I previously worked as a teacher and a private secretary for the past about 18 years, have been full-time secretary, bookkeeper, travel agent, whatever, for my caller partner. I'm going to make a few comments, and I'm going to let these gals do the majority of the panel. Lene Wheeler was to be on this, and she didn't think she could come. She made it at the last minute, but felt that she was unprepared, and so am I. So just a few notes. As a caller's partner, the things that these girls didn't have checked that they were going to cover was a lot to do with personalities and attitudes. I feel as a caller's partner the first thing that has to be decided offhand is if you're willing to share that partner caller with other people. This has to be decided by the two of you before this has ever begun. Another thing about personalities is which image do you portray when you go to a dance? Does people and your partner know that you're happy to be there, or does it show that you're not happy to be there, that you would rather be somewhere else? This is all images that we portray, and all of us know that there's times when we are somewhere that we would rather be somewhere else, but you can't always let that show. The image you portray is both, I feel, important to you and your caller partner. One of the main complaints, and as soon as I get through, I'm going to pass these sheets out. We have a list of the whole list of questions that was sent back on the survey sheets. And one of the things that kept coming to the top was that the partner did not feel that they were appreciated by their partner, their caller partner. And, the question comes to mind, would you improve or would you be a better person if he did show appreciation to you? I mean, you've got to decide to what degree do you want appreciation shown. I mean, are you someone that everything you go to you expect to be announced that you're there, that you expect people more or less to cater to you, or, can you just be there and be happy that you're there as his partner? Personalities that we have to deal with other callers, and especially with other dancers and clubs. How much interference? There again, that's got to be decided by you and your partner. How much of the guff do you take, and how much responsibility does he take? I run a lot of interference, but if it comes down to something really important, Keith is the caller, and I feel he's the one that they need to talk to. I will go with them to him and explain, but I feel they need to talk directly to him. I'm only there as a partner, and if it's something I can do something about, fine, but if it has something to do with the calling aspect or something dealing directly with calling, then he needs to settle that, not me. A lot of times, and on this survey also, was people saying that they did all this, they did the bookings, they did this, they did that, and then on the other aspect of it, there was the one saying, I would like to do this or that, but my partner does not feel I should. Well, that would be nice, I think. But there again, that's something that has got to be decided between the two of you. If you want more responsibility, communication is very important there. The two of you must decide who will be doing what, and if you want more responsibility, ask him, talk about it. Work out a schedule that you know what he'll be doing and he knows what you'll be doing. Our own identity in the calling profession, how important is that really? First and foremost, once again, the same question, how much are you going to be involved? Are you going to be someone that is totally involved? Are you going to be someone that is rarely involved? A lot of situations creates a different, whether you will or will not be. Small children at home, a job of your own. If you were on yesterday's session, like Pam, she has a program all of her own. So that, again, to what degree you are going to be in has to be decided between you and your partner. If you are not involved in a large capacity, they kept saying, how can I show this that the dancers know I exist when I don't go to all the club dances? We have a good friend in Tennessee that, because of her job and everything, she rarely can go. But she pops in like once a month, and when she does, she'll make something special, be it a refreshment or what, just to take to the club and say, and she has built up this thing with the dancers that they kind of look forward to when she comes, because it's kind of like party night when she shows up. So if you can't go all the time, make the evening that you do go a little special. Make it something that they're looking forward to your coming. Do you feel that your identity affects the relationship with the caller? I strongly feel that it does. but I also feel that it's very important for each of us to have our own identity. I don't feel that it's two separate lives. Keith and I are very much do things together, but your own identity is different from doing things together. I feel that you need your own identity. Maintaining enthusiasm and motivation. This becomes very hard for all of us, especially with the decline of square dancing right now and most of you having classes down, as we discussed in the other stations. The thing that we have found, especially in the last few weeks in our area, there's 2 or 3 callers that are thinking, well, one has quit. And Keith and I have tried to look at what has happened to them or why they have lost enthusiasm, and we try to build on that. 2 of them's comments and their partners were, I just can't get the people excited anymore. I'm not excited, and when I know I'm not excited about it, I know I'm not portraying a good image to the dancers. There again, it's your image and your enthusiasm. So Keith and I kind of bounce off of that, and we think, you know, what can we do? We watch what they have done, and we think, you know, we can do this different. You have to come up with your own ideas and your own solutions. Come up with new things. Try new things, whether you know if they'll work or not. Try new things to bring new interests that will not only rejuvenate the dancers, but will rejuvenate you. One thing here about a month ago that I like from another partner, we went into a new area in the New York, New Jersey area. Had a great dance. I think there was 32 squares, but you know, when you go away, you know the dancers liked you, but during that dance, during the first tip, Bill Heyman, that has the records and everything over in the booth that took over Hanhurst, he and his wife came in, and we had a very good time. Then after we got home, about a week after we'd been home, we got the nicest card, and it was a day, let me tell you, it was a day that I needed a lift. It was one of those days when everything you'd done went wrong. And we got this little card in the mail from Freddie and John Coltonthorpe saying, you all really wowed the dancers of New England. And it would just, but you know, to me, there again, that was another partner taking the time to let that partner and her caller partner know that they had been received well and that good things were being said. And I think in that way, if we portray to others the image, there again, the image is a lot of times what is important. Okay, we're going to start with Margaret Sparks to my right. And we're going to pass these handouts. The green sheet is the one that has all the questions, and maybe that'll spur some actions after we're done for you to ask questions. Okay, Margaret.
Okay, I'm Margaret Sparks, and when Karen asked me to do this, I kind of thought, why me? You know, JR and I have only been married not quite 3 years yet, so I'm kind of new at being a caller partner. And I don't really know why Karen decided to ask me. I'm thankful for the opportunity, but JR and I think we have a good thing going. So he says I should do this, so I'm doing it. On my outline is the yellow paper that's coming around, and I tried to address some of the topics on the green sheet that I felt were relevant to what we do. And you need to keep in mind that what I'm going to talk about is what works for us, and what works for us may or may not work for you. The key to the whole thing is communicating. You've got to communicate with each other what you both need and what you both want. I was lucky enough, like Carla, to be a dancer before I was a caller partner. So a lot of the comments that I give my husband come from a dancer's point of view, and that's the point of view I think he needs to hear. He doesn't just need me to say, you're wonderful, you're great. The dancers give him that if he is. And my job is almost the opposite. It's sort of to squeeze that head back down when we get in the car and say, it was a good dance, but these are the things that went wrong, or these are the things I think you need to improve. As far as sharing duties, we both work full-time outside of calling. I'm a teacher and he is a brick mason. He's just starting his own brick business, which is again going to make some adjustments in his goals that we've been communicating about. Through the week, we have a fairly normal home life. We get up, we have breakfast together, we go off to work, and we come home and we have supper together every night. That's one thing that we felt was very important to our marriage. And then we do have a home program through the week. We have a mainstream club on Mondays, Plus Club once a month on Tuesdays, and we have advanced every Wednesday. On Thursdays is our dance night. Every Thursday night we go dancing as a couple. He doesn't call. Now, that is not an always situation because sometimes the caller we go to on Thursdays is out of town and then JR fills in. But basically that is our one night a week that we do dance together. We travel on almost every weekend, and during summer holidays and school holidays, since I'm a teacher, that's when we plan our longer tours. But weekends we plan places that we can get to. We're in a real good location because we're right here, and we can get to a lot of places after school on Friday, especially with time changes. So we're within 5 hours of Chicago and St. Louis and lots of places that we can get to on the weekends. We work as a team, and when people call for bookings, JR says, "How did you hear about us? When do you want us there?" It's not a me thing. He looks at this, since we both have full-time jobs, maybe that's why. We both have full-time jobs, and calling is our other full-time job that we do together. I have bookings down. We operate from one calendar. That's a must. You get really messed up if you have more than one calendar going. But we both do bookings. And it really depends on who's calling. Some people will call and they'll say they want to speak to Margaret. Some people will call and want to speak to JR. We have different areas of the country where the dancers have a better rapport with me than they do JR. Or they feel more comfortable talking to the partner than they do the caller. And sometimes we have to play little games, if they're talking to JR and he gives them a price and then they talk to me later and I'll say, oh, well, maybe I can get him to come down a little bit on that, or kind of play the good cop, bad cop, I guess, play off each other. We do have set prices that we've discussed for different areas according to distance from home. And as far as weekends and festivals, we usually talk those over before we give a definite answer on those. But I would have to say that JR does more bookings than I do. I think that's important. But I will do them. Usually I get more money than he does anyway, so he kind of likes me to do. Travel and reservations. We do travel a lot, and JR handles all of them. I don't deal with that unless we've had a really bad motel somewhere. And then I'll say, don't go back there, please. We do stay with dancers from time to time, depending on the area. We prefer not to. We prefer to stay in a motel, but depending on what kind of contract you've negotiated and the fees that club's willing to pay, sometimes we will even suggest, well, it would save you a little money if you put us up with a dancer. In certain areas, that's fine. We have certain areas that we go to every year that we look forward to staying with certain dancers, and they look forward to us coming to their homes. So both ways are done, but we prefer the privacy of a motel, really. Planning ahead and decision making is very important. Because I was a dancer before I was a caller's partner, he was already a caller. He had certain goals in mind, and I had my mind on dancing. So before we got married, we had long discussions. Because when he first asked me to marry him, I said, I don't know if I want to be married to a caller. It's a lot different. And at that time, he was doing some traveling, and he was taking off and going hither and yon, and I didn't think he was real organized about the way he did it. Of course, when you start out, you kind of have to do that. You kind of have to pay your dues and go places at a loss or barely break even, and you have to do that to get started. But when we decided to get married, we decided that we were getting married because we wanted to be together. So now JR doesn't travel without me. I mean, if people ask him for a Monday night dance in Oklahoma, he'll say, no, I can't do that unless you dance in the summer. He plans around my school schedule so that we can do that. And I do take off Fridays or Mondays from time to time we try not to do too many in one school year, but we do that. But we do discuss where we're going to go, what we're going to do, what's coming up, what is it close to, how can we fill in these dates. We discuss other things that would help our program at home. Like we've recently added line dances to our mainstream club, and he needed my help to do that because I needed to do some of that research, and most of the time people would rather watch me dance than him anyway. So we're going to be in the fashion show at the Nationals this year, and that was a real hard decision for us because that's going to cut into his calling slots at the Nationals. But we had long discussions about, well, politically, and that's, let's face it, square dancing is political, what's the best move for you? You've been calling at the Nationals all these years, and they've been very good to you, but St. Louis is an area that we've just broken into in the last year and a half or so, and these people are asking you to do that. What do we want to do? What's the best thing? So we decided, yes, we'll do the fashion show. Sometimes you make decisions that are hard, and if your caller partner has an ego that can't deal with that, then you've got some problems, and that, again, is where communication's got to come into it. Setting different goals. JR's goals have changed in the last 3 years, and I think they change yearly. And we sit down and try to say, okay, where are we going from here? You know, he just joined a record label this last year and cut his first record. That was a big decision. But that was something that we felt, okay, now's the time to do this. We need to do it now. You know, he made the decision that no, he doesn't want to be on the road for 2 or 3 weeks at a time because I wouldn't be able to do that, because I wouldn't leave my teaching career for that. So it's like, okay, well, we'll put that off until you can retire, and then maybe we'll look at it again. So he's going to open his own business. Let's face it, square dancing is down. You know, how many full-time traveling callers without other sources of income can this activity support? Well, do you want to take that chance? No. He's been a brick mason all these years. Why not open your own brick business, which would give him more flexibility to travel when he wants to travel and yet have that source of income. So that was another big decision. One thing that I do for him totally is his yearly schedule, and I do have some up here if you all want to pick one up. And that's really been a big thing with the dancers. I've got one right here. And we put this out every year, and he insists that it's a picture of both of us, not just a picture of him. And it lists all the places where we're going to call during the year with our home program on the back, and some different things about JR and the record label and different things that we have going for that year. And we have dancers in different parts of the country that send us a Christmas card and say, is your schedule ready yet? Send us a schedule. And keep them on the refrigerator and you know, drive 100 miles when we're that close to them to see it. So that's something I think's really been beneficial. And he gives me free rein with that. He never knows what color it's going to be till the next year. Sometimes they're pretty wild. Karen told you, I think, spare time as a couple, we like to play golf, which I didn't do until we got married, and that was something he liked to do to relax, and I felt, well, okay, I'll try it once, and I liked it too. So that's something that we can do together, and we can take those golf clubs when we travel and stop and have some relaxation. He's also kind of an unusual man. He loves to shop, so we do that. Outlet malls, look out. If you see one on the road, we're pulling over. He's wonderful, yeah. Don't get your eyes on him. He's taken. Yeah, just borrow to go shopping purposes? Yeah. Okay. Well, that's okay. Okay, yeah. Pay me and take him shopping. That's great. I'll go play golf with your husband, you know. Once a week we do go dancing, and another thing that he really gets a kick out of is when I have school activities. I coach basketball, and I'm coach of the math team, which I have contests to go to, and sponsor the Honor Society, and we have induction every year, and we have dances at school, and I always plan those when I can be there, obviously, so that means he's free too. And he just gets a real big kick out of being Mrs. Sparks' husband, and it puts the shoe on the other foot. And it's like, okay, he's the little puppy dog following me around now, you know. He gets a little feel of what it's like sometimes. And he refuses to book a dance on our anniversary, because our first anniversary somebody called, and I could tell what date they were asking about, and I didn't say a word. And he was hesitating. And he said no. Okay, so he didn't book it. And then about 2 weeks later, they called back and said they couldn't get the hall, and our anniversary was the only date they could get it. And I said, oh, go ahead, it's okay. So when we got to that dance, they had a big banners up, happy anniversary, JR and Margaret. They had an anniversary cake. The dancers just made it wonderful. So really it wasn't that bad, but he has it blocked off. I looked at the calendar, and it's got second anniversary, third anniversary, no dance marked off. And we go through all the flyers that when we go to other dances, and every year we block off 2 to 3 weekends a year where he will not accept dances because there is a weekend that we want to go to and be a square dancer. We met square dancing. It's a big part of our life. We both like to dance, and we feel that's very important. And besides that, let's face it, it's good PR because we're out being dancers with the dancers who hire him, and they love it. So it works real well for us. At the dances, I definitely feel the calling improves when the partner's there. Now, of course, if you and your partner have a conflict, maybe that's not the case, but I know that for us, he calls a much better dance when I'm there than he does when I am not. First of all, he's got help because we have the equipment down to a science. I set up the turntable, microphone, get out his paper and pen for corners. He does the speakers, he does the records, and I say, don't touch that turntable. So we've got that all worked out. At the end of the dance, while he's shaking hands, I'm tearing down the equipment. And one night a dancer said, well, you've really got her trained. And he said, no, I don't have her trained. She likes to do it because the faster we get this equipment down, the faster we go home. So we just work together that way. While he's getting his records out, I go get his coffee, put out the flyers, do all that kind of stuff while he's standing there smiling, getting his big head or whatever. And then once he starts calling, then it's my job to take over, and I work the floor. I think his love songs are more sincere when I'm there. I think his upbeat songs are more upbeat when I'm there. I have missed a few of our local club dances due to parent conferences or an illness or whatever, and it's not real pleasant. My friends will tell me later, oh, he was sort of on a downer tonight. And I figure that's true because he called 3 times during the breaks from the dance. So he just does better if I'm there. The reception by dancers, especially on the road, has been wonderful. I guess it's not real common. A lot of traveling callers don't take their wives, and that's not always their fault. Like Karen said, if you've got small children at home or you've got a job that doesn't allow you to do that, you can't help it. But the dancers really appreciate it. Square dancing is a very conservative activity. The people in square dancing are pretty conservative, and they've got old-fashioned values, and they value that family and that marriage being important. We do round dance when we're on the road, and people like to see that. Dancers talk about callers who are gone for 3 and 4 weeks at a time. What are they doing? Can their wife trust them? Can he trust her? All that. We just let that go in one ear and out the other. It's like, some people can't help it, but this is what works for us, and so this is the way we do it. We like it this way. Other people may have other goals. I know I was married before. I was happy when my husband was gone. It didn't bother me at all. But that's a different situation. Wasn't calling, by the way. When I'm at the dances, he's got more PR. He's got another person to walk around and shake hands and say hi and how are you, and we're glad to be here and thanks for having us over. And he has help that way. Also, when I'm there, it helps him because I'm his eyes and ears on the floor. And boy, do we have signals. Usually at the first tip of a dance, I won't dance. Generally, everybody dances with their partner. They come with the first tip. And that's when I walk around. I check the sound. I'll count the squares if we're on a percentage. Let him know maybe what kind of crowd it looks like it's going to be at the break, and then we walk around after the first break. On the back of the yellow sheet is an idea that JR came up with, because we have been a few places where I have had to sit a lot of dances. And so he took a small chalkboard, it's about 12 by 18, and he made a stencil and spray painted it, Margaret's dance card, and numbered it. And at every dance, he sets that up, and he says, he introduces me, he tells the people that he's brought his wife and that she loves to dance, and this is her dance card. So please sign up to dance with her. And it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman that wants to dance with me, I'll do either part, I don't care. And it helps us in a lot of ways, because sometimes you're at dances and a lot of people ask you to dance, and it's like, well, was he the next one, or was who did I tell yes to? So this helps me keep that straight. I don't end up sitting out all evening, and it does encourage the dancers to ask me to dance. Because I have been places after he said that where men have come up and said, I'm glad he said that, because you never know whether to ask the caller's wife to dance or not. Some of them don't like to dance. Or I asked some and they said no. And of course they don't want to be rejected any more than anybody else wants to be rejected. So it just lets them know that I'm there, I want to dance, and I'm there to have a good time too. So I appreciated the fact that he did that. But I will tell him, if I'm dancing, and he tends to get carried away with patter, because he's a very good singer, but his patter is his love, and sometimes he gets a little carried away with that. So he knows if I scratch my throat, that means going a little too long here, and from now on, anytime I scratch my throat, it's bow to the partner, bow to the corner too, and rotate those squares for the singing call. He does it immediately. He doesn't think, oh, well, she doesn't know what she's talking about. And I think trust comes into that a lot, that they've got to trust your opinion, that you know what you're doing, and that you're not just saying, well, I'm tired of doing patter, I want to hear the singer, that you know it's been long enough. It's time to stop. If he gets off on some choreography that I think is too difficult for the crowd that he has, I let him know that. I don't wait till after the dance. It's too late after the dance. You can't go back and redo that dance. So you've got to let him know in between tips. You want to do it gently. You don't want to say, man, that's terrible. You just need to say, I think you need to let up a little bit, or you need to pull back a little bit, because this floor can't handle it, or this crowd's a little old for the pace that you're going. You need to slow down a little bit. So I let him know if there's bad body flow. He knows. If he sees that, he did something wrong. And I let him know if the dance is getting kind of down. Let's get it back up there. Let him know. Looking good, I think, is very important. The appearance you make to the dancers is very, very important. And I think it can make or break a caller. How many of you seen callers' wives that look like floozies? I have. Very recently. And I think you need to be neat, you need to be clean, you need to have your hair and your makeup as if you were going to church. I don't think you need to have it like you're going to a nightclub. This is my opinion again. You got to smile till your jaw hurts. When we first got married and I started going to these dances with him, it was like, I can't let it out, it won't stop. How do you relax? But it's got to be sincere, too. It can't just be a fakey smile, or people are going to know that. You've got to really enjoy what you're doing, and you've got to want to do it. As far as square dance attire, I think you need to wear square dance attire. It's a family activity, and the off-the-shoulder dresses and too much cleavage it sort of makes the dancer step back and not know how to approach you. I think you need to be approachable. You need to be like one of them. I brought a folder with some pictures of some of our square dance attire in it. My square dance outfits look just like other square dance outfits, except they're not cotton. I do use other materials that are shimmery or shiny, but the styles are pretty much like other square dance clothes. And if you're in love with your husband, let them know it. Because they will know it, and they will comment on it. Because dancers tell us that all the time. It's great to see a couple in love. It's great to see you having a good time together. We can tell you want to be here with your husband. You know, or JR, you're really lucky. She's a big asset to you. And that's where you get your boost, is when the dancers tell the caller, you know, you're lucky to have her. Or she's one of your biggest assets. And that, it really makes you feel good. You've got to do PR at all times when you're out there. You've got to tell them how great he is, too. You know, you've got to tell him, not only is he a great caller, he's a great husband, he's a great dancer, he's a great person. He brings me my hot chocolate in the bathtub every morning. I mean, they get a big kick out of that. They like to hear that he's human. We do human things. It's sort of like my kids at school. You know, kids sometimes think teachers live at school. You know, you get in the closet at night and come out in the morning. They see you at the grocery store. It's like, yeah, guess what? We eat too. And dancers, I think, sometimes tend to put callers in that same respect. They kind of put them up on a little pedestal like a little god. And when you can tell them little anecdotes or things about your home life, not real personal, but little things, then they can relate to you as a person and not just as an entertainer or a square dance caller. You need to push your upcoming dances. You know, make sure that the flyers you put out are dances that are within their travel area, you know, within 200 or 300 miles of where they live. I push the yearly calendars. Let the dancers know you're glad to be there. Not just that he's glad to be there, that you're glad to be there too. Thank them for having you there. Thank everybody you dance with. Don't turn anybody down. If for some reason you can't dance that night but you want to go to the dance, have your caller partner announce, I brought my wife with me, but, you know, she's got a bad knee and she's not going to be able to dance tonight, but she came to socialize with you. Or something like that. You know, let them know the reason why, so they won't be rejected by asking you. Make the caller look good. That's your job while you're there, is to make him look good. But at the same time, he should make you look good too. He owes you that. He owes you a lot, actually. Because yes, they may be able to call without you there, but if you're doing a good job, they couldn't do as good a job without you there. And you need to let them know that too. So communicate, teamwork, because that's what we view this as, a team. Be his best fan and be his worst critic, but do it lovingly. And be honest with each other and trust each other. And that's all I have to say.
Okay, next we're going to have Carla Driver.
She won the toss, huh?
She won the toss between her and Pam. Carla's sheet is the pink sheet.
With the typos.
The parters. We're great parters.
We're parters.
You want this stand?
Yeah. Be quiet.
There you go. Can't burp or anything.
I do apologize for the typos on there, but it was like throwing it through my computer at work, so, and I didn't catch it, and neither did Karen, and she ran them off.
I've got a copy of each of those. I'll just take Carla's.
Yeah, just take mine. Yeah. So if I go ahead. Mother, wife, travel agent, cook, complaint department, taxi, secretary, computer whiz, cashier, laundress, referee, friend, negotiator, booking agent, tax consultant, maid, male dancing partner, insurance agent, carpenter, doctor. Who am I? Hillary Clinton, Mother Teresa, or square dance caller's wife? I don't want to stand up. Is that better? I have to hold it.
Now try that.
Is that better? Oh, see, he heard me out there, so can you hear me now?
I want to see you.
You don't want to see me. With friends like this, right? You're short.
I know.
You ready now? Okay. When I was asked to be on this panel, I instantly felt my ulcers kick in, you guys. I mean, I was honored, but in the same time, I was really nervous and afraid. What if I said something wrong, or what if I said something that would embarrass my husband? Or what if just all of you out there thought, what's she doing up there? Then after having a long talk with myself, I decided, well, that maybe there was just another partner or spouse out there that felt my insecurities or felt my flaws or even my self-doubts. I made a list of what I contribute to my husband's business. And we do consider it a business. It's our livelihood. And surprisingly, I couldn't come up with a lot of negatives. We were given a list of 26 items to choose from for discussion, and I put these items into 7 categories. And the one subject that really hit home with me was being a recognized partner. I'd like you all to know that you're not the only one out there feeling used, abused, and ignored. At some time, we all feel this way. We feel that throughout his or her career, whether it be a square dance caller, a banker, or a mechanic, we all feel that we're taken advantage of either by their associates or by them themselves. So don't feel alone about it. We all have our own expectations, and they most likely are not the same as our spouse or our partner. I feel it is essential for every one of us to realize our own self-worth, and we have the right to feel sorry for ourselves, but we do have the responsibility to overcome it. Unlike many of you, I was not part of Wade's life when he began his calling career. He was already established and obviously very, 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 very set in his ways. I know many of the dancers felt they had more of a priority to him than I did, considering that they had known him longer. But I decided the day I moved to Houston, I was going to be part of his calling profession, part of his business, because it was our livelihood. I wanted to play an active part in it, and because of my own ego, I wanted to be accepted. When attending dances, I made it a point and an effort to be friendly. I was helpful to his club members. I was accessible to them. At night did not go by. I didn't help clean up the kitchen or sweep a floor or, just pitch in. I always made a point to talk to a dancer. Before long, I was really an active part of his home clubs. And let me tell you, I feel really uncomfortable talking to strangers and to a large group. I had to push myself to really go and find that one person that I didn't know and talk to them, to start a conversation, but I made that a weekly goal. To my advantage, Wade was soon getting comments that I was a real asset. I realized that it's really hard for some of us to make that active participation, but realize that you are a reflection of your partner. You're a reflection of his whole life. And so I just feel it's real important that you get to know the dancers, because through you, your dancers get to know your partner. My biggest hurdle, though, was being introduced at a dance by my own husband. I told him I was going to get a badge that said chopped liver. What am I doing here? After leaving a lot of dancers just seething, just really being angry that, I stood in the back of the room again. Here I am. I finally just resigned myself to the fact that maybe he did forget. Maybe he really was just planning his dance and thinking about it. And I know he loves me, but he just sort of forgot that person out there waving, going, here I am, you know. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt. And then once I got over that anger, I finally decided I just had to sit down and discuss this. So we had our little chopped liver discussion. And since that time, and due to other things, he really makes an effort now to acknowledge me at his dances. It's an old cliche. It's communication and honesty. When you have that, you've I guess passed that first hurdle. I know there's times when I think, when do I have time to communicate? I have the kids, I have my job, I'm busy doing laundry, and then there's the times that I'm so angry at him I don't want to communicate with him. But you have to. You really, really have to communicate with him. It is important that you know the expectation of the other person, of your partner. I made a questionnaire with the typos. And if you have the time, and some of this, maybe it won't even make a difference, or, your situation is different. But if you have the time, have your partner fill it out or answer the questions, and then take the time for yourself to fill it out. And you might find, I think you'll be really surprised at the answers that you get there. Because when it comes to placing expectations, I truly feel the only person we can place expectations on are ourselves. When you expect something from someone else, and no matter how much they love you, you're going to be disappointed. How many times did you choose that restaurant in your head that you wanted to go eat at? And he chose McDonald's. And I was like, I got dressed up for this one? Okay. Each of us want to be recognized for our efforts. That's only human nature. We want to be credited for our part. But ask yourself, am I helping him or am I competing with him? Realize that your caller will always be number one to his dancers. I know I'll always be number two to them, but I can settle for being Avis. I just love it. Now you made me lose my place. Let's see. First of all, I am his partner in life. I make sure I shine as his star at home, and I let him be the star on stage. I have found through my constant support, my jaws aching from smiling, I think we've all been there, dancing the boy's part, the dancers appreciate me. I always have a smile on, even when Wade and I have had a disagreement on the way to the dance, and we've just battled at Royal Drive in there. We both, it's a little thing for us, we pull that car up and go, showtime, and the smile comes on, and no dancer will ever see us at odds with each other. I make it a point at the end of each dance, I stand at the door, and I realize our situation's a little bit different. We have 17 to 20 sessions a week, but every night, not so much during the daytime, but every night I stand at that door. And as each dancer goes out, I shake their hand, I thank them for coming. I feel like a flight attendant, you guys. Thank you for coming, goodbye, okay, thanks. But we've gotten a lot of feedback, and from other callers have been visiting callers. And it does make an impact on the dancers. Now there's those that go out the side door, and I think, okay, what did I do tonight? But once again, I've made myself accessible to the dancer. In many ways, I'm Wade's link to that dancer. They have reminded him of my participation, and in many ways made our union stronger and more of a team. It is your job to overwhelm your spouse and your partner with your talents. If you want to be recognized and valued, be willing to participate. Get to know his dancers and associates. Don't try to run his business. Try to be a viable asset to it. After I've gone many years without a participating partner, it has taken Wade a long time to realize the many things I do for him. Slowly but surely, he has discovered that. He discusses almost everything with me now. We make our decisions together. I don't like a lot of the things he asks me to do. I don't want to run to the post office and get his stamps. I don't want to do the UPS boxes. But you know what? I do them. Maybe grumbling, but he doesn't hear it. I do them, And I guess because I really feel in the long run, I really reap the benefits. Be it traveling. I would have never been out of the United States if it had not been for my husband's profession. I have met so many wonderful people. And so I think a lot of times when we get so frustrated, you really need to sit back and say, where are we going from here? What am I reaping from this? What is our final goal? Like I said in the beginning, realize your own self-worth. Pat your own back, because sometimes that's the only person who's going to do it for you. Strive to be a supportive partner. Once you clean up your own backyard, the roses will start blooming, you guys. Use every source available to you. Listen to your peers. Use their ideas. Steal them. Hey, they don't have a market on them. Steal those ideas. Use them. Incorporate them. If they don't use them, throw them out. But if it works for you, use it. I've had the opportunity to meet many, many people due to Wade's career. I have found friendships with many of you that obviously, if it had not been for square dancing, I would have missed and had obviously left a very big void in my life. Many have taught me valuable lessons. Gail Seastrom has taught me to be my husband's best friend. Carrie Main has taught me to always have a sense of humor. Always have a sense of humor. Dee Bauer has taught me to trust myself. Susan Oxidine has taught me to always be a lady. But most of all, the dancers have taught me to be myself. By being myself, they have accepted me. They have given me my recognition. They have made my husband so proud of the contributions I make to his program and to his life that it has really made it worthwhile. It took me a long time getting there. I struggled, I fell, I skinned my knees. But it's real important your dancers know that you care about them. And they have made Wade so cognizant of the fact that I'm there. And I can't explain to you how, in just the last 2 years, the turnaround. Dance doesn't go by that Wade isn't thanking me. And I'm serious. This is a person standing in the back room going, chop liver, chop liver. And Gail and I've talked about it many times. All of a sudden, we did a festival not too long ago together. Gail and I were in the kitchen, and they kept yelling for us so they could introduce us. So we kept saying, we're busy, you know. So it does come around. It takes a while, but really, you guys, you've got to be supportive. In summary, I just want to say back to it's communication and honesty, because with that, you can finally get together and compromise. And that's what it's about.
Next, we'll have Pam Dougherty.
Well, let's see now. How many times have we all heard the word communication today? How many times have you all heard y'all this weekend? I say the same thing. Actually, Carla said just about exactly what I was going to tell y'all. So thank you. Yeah. Communication is the most important thing we can do in order to find our place in this business. But how many of here have never had any problem communicating with your partner? Anybody never had any problem? Raise your hand, yeah. He does exactly what I tell him. He wears the pants and she tells him which pair to wear, right? I've had lots of problems with communication with my partner, and one of the toughest jobs I've had is figuring out how to do it. You know, you've got to find that way that you can communicate with your partner, let them know how you're feeling about things. Just 2 weeks ago, we had a really bad day at our house, and while he never said it, I could tell that he was thinking it was my fault. And so after he left for work, I wrote him a letter. And it was laying on the table when he came home for lunch, and I was not there. And by the time he got home at 5 o'clock that afternoon, we'd both had time to let the whole situation cool off a little bit. He knew how I felt. I figured I knew how he felt, but he did tell me some things once he got home. Once he got home, he was ready to talk to me a little bit, and I was ready to talk to him. And and really we decided that the whole thing was not worth getting all worked up over anyway, but at least we got some feelings out into the open, and it really helped. But it is the toughest thing to do, is to try to figure out how to get your message across to your partner, and probably vice versa. He's probably thinking the same thing from time to time. We did not stumble across our arrangement really through communication, unfortunately. That would have been the easy way. We had to kind of fumble around a little bit, try different things. When I first started with Randy in his business, I knew so little about it that I really did nothing at all. And I didn't like the feeling that I got from that. I was just totally inadequate. So then I went the other way and took the bull by the horns and took charge of his business, which of course doesn't work either, because you just can't do it all. So what we ended up doing eventually was finding those places where I was better at some things and he was better at some things, and allowing me to do the things that I was better at, and he kept the jobs that he was better at. We screwed up a few things in the interim because I took on some things that I just was not able to handle. But we did finally get that worked out. Now I'm pretty much responsible for his bookings. I maintain the schedule and all the bookkeeping. One of my favorite things to do is the promotional end of it. It's fun. I like to try to come up with promotional campaigns, the flyers and stuff for our different events and things. It's fun to do. Doesn't really involve dealing with any people necessarily. I can do that at home at my desk, behind closed doors. It gives me a time away from things. I can really focus on that, and takes my mind off of other things. I also find that it's easier for me to sell him than it is for him to sell himself. So the scheduling really falls to me much easier. And like Margaret said, I can usually get more money for him than he can get for himself anyway. So it works out pretty well. When I started queuing rounds, it really benefited us professionally, because a lot of times we go into areas where maybe they don't have a round dance leader available to them, and rounds would help their dances, and so they were able to get everything in one package. It also really strengthened our team concept. People have become accustomed to seeing us together. When Randy's there, I'm there generally, and it does get to the point where if I'm not there, they're asking him, where I am. Am I all right? Am I pregnant? She's not pregnant, is she? I get that a lot. I guess I think. Oh, sure. Now I know where it comes from. So they do become accustomed to seeing us together. But there are times when I don't like that either, because I don't really want to necessarily be expected to be there. So I've gotten now to the point where I'll stay away just to maintain the possibility that I might not always be there. And dancers they're flexible and they're understanding, and they realize that you can't be there all the time. They don't hold it against you or your caller partner, if you're not a constant participant. The social aspect, I also really enjoy. I really do enjoy being around people. When I was growing up, I grew up out in the country. We didn't have a lot of neighbors. Kids I went to school with, I was kind of a geeky kid, and people didn't really want to be friends with me. So I sort of developed this, hard to believe, isn't it? I was a little different, and I still am a little different. Yeah, right. But you kind of justify things like that, and I when I was living on my own, I told myself that I was the sort of person who liked to be by myself. I liked to be by myself. That was just the kind of person I was. And I learned later that I was just justifying the fact that I didn't know a lot of people or have a lot of friends. So so when I started meeting all these people, it was quite an adjustment for me, but I did discover that I loved it. I loved being around people. And being at the dances, the number of people that you can meet is so overwhelming, and you really can't get to know them all anyway. I mean, you can just get around and talk to a few people now and then, but I try to find out something. I try to learn a little bit about even just one person at every dance, and the things that you can find out from people that just come to a square dance are amazing to me, and I feel like I maybe have gained a lot of years worth of wisdom just because I've talked to people at dances and gotten to know them a little bit and found out some of the things that they know. Dancers, of course, are able to spend as much time talking with the caller because he's on the stage most of the time. But like Carla said, when they're able to talk to you, they feel like they're talking to that caller in some respect. They feel like they're getting to know him through you, and vice versa. You can go home, and on the way home, you're saying, you know, I was talking to Mary Smith tonight, and do you know what they did in 1970? And so by that way, he's getting to know those people also. I did the legwork for him, but he's getting to know them, and then the next time he sees them, he'll remember that. He'll remember them a little better. It just really works well. Again, dancers, and Margaret has said this, and Carla said this, dancers like you to be approachable. They like to know when they walk through the door, this is a person I think I can go and talk to, I can go and start a conversation with. And if you have the demeanor, it's very simple for them to do that. It's pretty easy. You can pretty easily tell by looking at somebody if you don't really want to go and try to start a conversation with them. No, I don't think so. I think I'll try this one over here. So don't let them pass you by. I don't like to let them pass me by. I hate it when somebody walks by me and doesn't want to stop and talk. I'm a great talker. Personally, my importance, I think, is basically moral support. We're brainstorming partners. We bounce ideas off each other. But the biggest thing is I think I help him maintain perspective. I think sometimes things start rolling along really well. A lot of good things happen. All of a sudden, your caller can start to feel like... I was just going to say I'm a star, okay? And I think any star is going to have a hard time being a star if they think they're a star. I think that it's important for them to realize that there are still a lot of different ways that they can improve, and nobody should get too big for their britches, I think. And walking on water. I don't like to knock him down by any means, but we like to talk about things and say, you know, well, yes, this is good, but you know, this could also happen, and so we shouldn't get too excited about things. Hi, Randy. Above all, no flowers today. On a personal note, I think that the partner is so important to the caller, but for every person, the importance is different. There's no specific guidelines that we all can follow, and you've heard this a million times, I know, but everybody's situation is different, and you have to find that arrangement that works for you. And again, what's the key to that? Communication. Okay, I understand completely that feeling of being overlooked, neglected. We went through the same thing, not being introduced at the dances. I finally gave up. If he doesn't introduce me at the dances, it's easier for me to go up to someone and say, hi, I'm Pam Dougherty. If he has already introduced me and I walk up and say, hi, I'm Pam Dougherty, they look at me like, you think I wasn't listening? You know? So it gives me the opportunity to introduce myself and start the ball rolling a little bit. Not that I object to being introduced. It's wonderful. I like being introduced, but I don't mind not being so anymore. I teach my own classes, and I understand now too the idea that when you have I can tell Randy something at the back of the stage to announce, and by the time he gets to the stage, he's forgotten it. And I used to think, well, he wasn't listening to me at all. That's not the case. It's when you're walking up to that microphone, you're thinking about what you're going to say, what you're going to do next, how you're going to present something, and other things that are less important seem to just disappear. And I have forgotten things from the distance from the back of the room to the stage also. And so I understand what he goes through in that. So I've gotten a little bit more. I never came up with the chopped liver badge. I wish I had. But we went through that. We went round and round with that too when I first started traveling with him, and I would get so upset because I'd walk through the door and it was like I wasn't there anymore. He was doing his thing. He wouldn't acknowledge that I was there. He wouldn't introduce me. But I did get over that, and I'm able to take care of myself at the dances now. And I don't look for him. I still do. I shouldn't say that. I should say that I don't look for him to respect me for what I do or to thank me for what I'm doing, to acknowledge what I do for him. But I have learned that the best place that I can get affirmation is from myself, and I have tried to focus on that more than looking for it from him. It helps me out a lot. I know that what I do is important. I really don't need him to tell me that. And so I also, and I think one time I overdid it a little bit. I felt like what I did was so important that he wouldn't be able to do this job without me anymore. And I still think he probably wouldn't do it as well, but but I do know that his career would go on if I weren't helping him, and so I'm able to keep things in perspective for myself a little bit that way too. But what you do is important, and you should never underestimate what you do. But you have to be happy with it for yourself. You have to enjoy it for yourself, I think, and then the benefits that your caller partner will get from it will just automatically follow. Okay? Thank you.
Next, Gail Seastrom.
The beauty of being last is that you either have to stretch for time or you just get to be up there real short, real fast, because we're going to have a beverage break at about 10:15. I'm no dummy. I've done this before. I'm a little embarrassed because I'm the only one on this panel that doesn't have a handout. I have a good excuse. I've been helping my husband get his handouts ready for this convention. And I think helping our husband is probably the underlying current here. I have addressed specifically questions that are on this green sheet, and if you kind of want to follow along with me, maybe that might be a little easier to follow me. I can only tell you that I can only speak personally, that my way is not necessarily the right way. It is the way that works for me. And maybe if you listen to the way I do it, or the way that we've all done these things, this will help you. I've addressed specifically question number 7, which is what type of partner management is needed and how do we concern ourselves with bookings. I do all of the bookings in our house, period. There is no discussion. On Mike's business card it says, call Gail. If they call the house and ask to speak to him, he puts me right back on the phone. I keep his dental calendar, I keep his booking calendar, I keep the bowling league for the Pee-wees, I keep the Boy Scouts, I keep my own. And I'm the only one that knows where everybody's supposed to go at one time. So that's what works for us. I also do his travel arrangements. I make sure that there's gas in the car, the shirts are ironed, and all that jazz. I even pack his suitcase. The way it comes home is not the way that he left the house with it. But anyway, that's the way it works for us. I have to be in charge of the balancing act. We have 2 very, very busy sons. Family, first and foremost, is the focus in our house. Square dancing is going to be here after my boys grow up. So that's how we balance it. Question number 17 was, are we over-exaggerating the importance of the partner, and should we even be a part of CALLERLAB? My husband stole my line last night when he said, isn't this the year of the woman? Well, I told him it's always been the year of the woman. We just let you know at this time. So I think it's important that CALLERLAB recognizes the partner because this is a couple's activity. But it has taken a long time for this organization to do so. And in the beginning, Karen might remember going to what they called the partner sessions, and we had discussions that donut holes were cheaper than donuts and how we could make interchangeable decorations. And that was all that we talked about. And they gave us one session and they thought they'd satisfied us. Well, we don't want to vote in this organization necessarily, but I think that they've come to recognize what an important part of the organization we are. The attendance obviously is up. I think that's very helpful. And I don't think that we should eliminate our importance. I don't think that we should necessarily elaborate it, but I think that we're making incredible strides towards being part of this organization. Okay. Number 8 was the question, how and where in the picture do we fit as callers? No, I didn't go in order because I went the way these things struck me. And the way I work is I have to work when the Spirit moves me. And sometimes it doesn't move me in numerical order, so this is the way it goes. One of the things was to ask how you fit in the picture, and I believe that all of you have found where you fit in the picture. I believe you've all found your niche, and if you're not happy with it, you are thinking about how you're going to change it. Or you wouldn't attend these kind of sessions to hear how everybody else does the things that they do. I think whether your husband is a full-time caller or a part-time caller or teaches only classes or whatever his thing is, I think we all have found how we're going to fit into it or how we're going to change it so that we're happier with that picture and how we participate in it. I feel very strongly that it's important to find your level. We have another caller's wife in our area who home bakes cookies every single class night. And I'm always embarrassed when she finds me in the day-old bakery because I'm the one that's buying those cookies because I'm not home baking them. But I think you have to decide what's going to work for you, because one person does one thing, that's not going to be what's going to work for you. We have to, well, as we've all said, there is a happy medium. And I believe that is when the medium is happy, everything will work. And I am the medium. And that's how you find out what is the best niche for you. One lady wrote in a statement that I thought was very important to her, obvious. She said, "My partner is a caller. I have no interest whatsoever in participating in any way. Why do people think this is so wrong?" And my answer is, or my question to her would be, why do you care what people think? I think I always stole that from Ann Landers. Because I think that's, if you have established that this is what works for you, that's really all that matters. And my top lip is about to stick to the top of my teeth. I've been sitting here bragging to Carla that I never get nervous, and now I'm about to kill myself up here. I'm not used to wearing high heels. Anyway, sometimes it is important that you not be part of the activity if it makes you unhappy. One of the caller's wives I knew very well, in fact, she was very, very active. She did all the bookings. She acted as a secretary to her husband's business as well as his square dancing business. He had a recording business. And she was really in the mainstream of this activity. And she one day decided, this was it, I want nothing else to do with it. She sold her square dance clothes. She no longer did the secretarial work. She didn't go to a dance. I mean, she checked out for a year and a half. She had to. She just felt that it had just consumed her. I see you shaking your head like this. Listen, I feel that occasionally, and I'll personally feel that if I don't want to go, I don't go, because I do my husband a great disservice by being someplace that I vehemently do not want to be. And I think that those are choices that you should be allowed to make. Because personally, they can do the dance without you. We've all agreed that they do call a better dance when we're there, but he does not necessarily call a good dance when you're there and don't want to be there. So I think it's important that you not really care what people think, that you care, first of all, how it affects you as a person and whether it's going to be in your best interest and your partner's best interest, whether you go or don't go. I'm making this really short because I know it's going to get real noisy out there real soon. I pretty much have addressed the questions that really struck me personally. One of the things that I want to tell you that in the early days of partner sessions, I'll go back that way because I cannot say to you how much work Karen has done as the leader of the Partners Committee. We have progressed so far, and the partner session began initially with about 10 of us sitting in a room because they'd given us a room to do whatever partners do. They didn't know at that time. And we sat talking, and the conversation got closer and more personal, and someone in the room was really bursting with a personal sort of experience, and she thought it was like a sisterhood that kind of developed in that room, and she really bared her soul, and it took a lot of courage to be that honest, and she kind of said what she had to say and told the truth about a given situation, and kind of looked around the room at the 10 of us to see what we'd say, and we all said, "I know exactly how you feel." And I think that this is what happens in these sessions, that we all know exactly how we feel in one way or another. And none of us up here for 1 minute would tell you that we have the answer or that we know the exact thing that you can do. We only can tell you that we have the same life experiences, and that is the thread that holds us together as partners. And I think that we should continue to have these kind of sessions and realize that my way is not your way, but it is another way to look at doing the same thing.
I would like to thank all the panel. As Gail said years ago when she's talking about when we all got together, she made the comment then, and I've used it many times. It's like we have a spatial sisterhood. It's like no other sorority or anything can be that partners have in common. Do we have any real quick questions? I shut the doors so that the noise, but does anybody have anything real pressing? This lady I know had something.
Well, first of all, I have known Wade for maybe longer than you have. Yeah, but no, I want to tell you, anytime we have been with him, you have been a topic of discussion, and very lovingly and very commendable. And yeah, it was a good week. And we've known Randy for a while too, and we have known him a lot longer than you have again. And his career went all the way around to the top side of the wheel when you became part of his life and his career. So both of these ladies have done the right thing for their partner. Thank you. You've made them better for us. They're livable now. You asked about being appreciated. I have to ask my husband. He is very shy. It's a passive-aggressive relationship we have. He's passive and I'm aggressive. He tones me down and I try to pump him up. The one thing that I have a problem with in this passive-aggressive relationship we have, and maybe you ladies have encountered it on your level, if there's something that needs to be done and it's on the order of some of the dirty work, I get it. I'm the one that can take the flack. I'm the one that gets the flack. Oh, we wouldn't tell Dave. He's so sweet. He's so shy. He wouldn't. And then again, I think, you might as well tell me because he wouldn't do anything about it anyway. And if it's going to get done, I'll do it. Like, tell the couple that has a body odor problem that, can we talk over here? The one person who came to lessons who got to a point where saturation was no longer available in his brain space, and we asked him if he could just quit this year and come again next year. I got that job. Something went wrong at the dance. I need to talk to those officers and get it squared away so it never happens again. I get that job. Call a club. He's got when it's his job, because he has a full-time job, this is only our part-time hobby job, I have to call that club and say, hey, Dave can't come. Can I get you another caller? I get that job. Why do I always get the bad jobs and I'm always the badass?
They like me anyway. Oh, somebody has an answer. Oh, stand up. Let us know. You don't have to tell them your name.
Thank you, ladies. I would love to respond to that question because we all feel the same way when we're given duties such as that. But turn it around and look at this. You have the talent, and everybody don't have the talent to face those type of, you are a unique person, and anyone that takes on jobs that we call dirty jobs, there's a certain type of a technique to deal with those things. So consider yourself well-voiced, and it's a compliment.
Before we leave, the pink sheet up here in the corner, a lot of you have not turned that in since this is our last official session other than our 3:30 partner session this afternoon. And don't forget, at 10:45 there's one on partnership. At 1:30, Business 2 was originally ours and is a good one for partners on bookkeeping. But please fill out this pink sheet and leave it before this afternoon. I would like to thank all the panel. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I think these gals are terrific. Didn't they all do a beautiful job? They not only are wonderful, beautiful women and marvelous partners, but can they speak? I'm proud of all of them.